their record-breaking filibuster into a sixth day of non-stop speeches. They have now clocked up more than 100 hours of addresses to Parliament in their attempt to block a controversial anti-terrorism bill proposed by the government. The longest speech of the filibuster so far ran for almost, wait for it, 12 hours. The BBC's Steve Evans is in Seoul for us. What are they talking about, Steve?
They're talking about George Orwell's 1984, amongst other things. It is an attempt to constantly talk out a bill that the government wants, which it says would increase the powers of the intelligence agencies. So the lawmakers have been going at it for just over a week, talking. They have to talk specifically to purpose, and sometimes that specifically to purpose doesn't seem to be that specific. So, for example, they've been reciting passages from George Orwell's novel, which is, of course, about a totalitarian society. They have been talking and talking and talking, vaguely to the point sometimes. It is apparently a world record for a filibuster by a party, beating the Canadian attempt in the Canadian Parliament 3 years ago, I think it was, which ended up at 57 hours. So the Korean attempt has gone way, way past that. It's about talking and talking. Different countries have different rules about filibusters. In South Korea, you have to keep pretty well to the point. But in the United States, for example, filibusters can go very, very vague indeed. In Congress, in the Senate, for example, they've talked through phone books, the plays of Shakespeare. They've recited recipes. So for the world record for a party filibuster, it does seem to be in South Korea. But for the world record for a personal, individual filibuster, that would be in the United States, where a senator there in 1957 talked out a civil rights bill, and it took him 24 hours and 18 minutes. So the trick is to talk and talk and talk. This filibuster in South Korea is about to come to an end, actually, because the opposition MPs now realise that they have talked and talked and talked for so long.
Do you know what, Steve?
That they've talked out legislation which they actually want to get through themselves.
My team in the gallery
about to come to an end.
My team in the gallery is saying that we've gone over our time because you're talking and talking and talking, but doing it so brilliantly and eloquently. Steve Evans in Seoul, thank you so much.
Well, you're watching Newsday on the BBC. Still to come on the programme.